Despite the fact that we are right now in the spring home buying season, existing home sales this May decreased compared to 1 year ago and compared to April. And home sales so far this year are on track to decrease to a multi-decade low, approximately a 30-year low regarding home sales this year. On top of that, this is quite remarkable given the fact that there's more houses for sale this May compared to previous years. And in fact, there's approximately a 2-year high of houses for sale right now. Meanwhile, home prices rose to an all-time record high this May, but those gains may be losing momentum due to the rise in mortgage rates, inventory, and of course, housing affordability constraints as well. This is based on a brand new report from the National Association of Realtors. And in today's video, I'll provide my own take on their data. And by the way, if you guys get any value out of today's video, this video took me hours to make due to all the analysis involved in it. And spreadsheet alert, I have some analysis to share how the trends we're seeing right now regarding sales, home prices, and inventory compared to years past, especially compared to pre-COVID levels, not mentioned in this report from NAR. And by the way, we're also very, very close, about 1,000 shy of 100,000 subscribers on this channel. I just can't believe we're at that level. I had about, 2 subscribers back in 2019 when I started this channel. So everyone who has subscribed to this channel, I appreciate you guys so much. So with that said, let's begin today's video because I have a lot to share. So here's the actual report from NAR. It says existing home sales slightly decreased in May as the median sales price climbed to a new all-time record high. By the way, they define existing home sales are completed transactions that include single-family houses, townhomes, condos, and co-ops. That decreased by 0.7% compared to the previous month, which was April, to a seasonally adjusted annualized rate at 4.11 million units this May. So let's take a dive into this. We'll talk about sales and then inventory and then home prices here in a little bit as well. So regarding sales, these figures right here are seasonally adjusted. They're also analyzed as well. So 4,110,000 was the current sales pace that month. Decrease of 0.7% compared to April and down 2.8% year over year. On a month-to-month basis, the Northeast, the Midwest, and the West were flat, whereas in the South, it decreased by 1.6%. Compared to 12 months ago, we saw decreases in the Northeast, the South, and the West, yet a small gain in the Midwest, up by 1%. All right, let's get a little bit nerdy here and share my own analysis of their data. So for May, again, 4.11 million, a decrease of 0.7% compared to April, and we're down 2.8% year over year. As a note right here, closed home sales in May were mostly for purchase contracts signed. In other words, you're a home buyer, you got your offer accepted back in March when the average 30-year fixed rate, according to Freddie Mac, was at 6.82%. This is also based on signed contracts in April as well. Back then, the average rate was at 6.99%. Ever since then, rates have been hovering around 7% for average 30-year fix. So this will likely limit the number of closed home sales in the near term. I've been saying that same term for about 3 months now. We haven't been seeing a lot of fluctuations in rates. And also, we're not seeing a lot of fluctuations regarding sales as well. Sales have been relatively flat all year. And again, this is the heart of spring home buying season, so it's very telling. So because of all this, I expect sales to remain very low unless rates and or prices decrease. In regards to sale pace, this May at 4.11 million. This is slightly more than the forecast. The forecast was only calling for a 4.08 million sales pace. But this is also the slowest sales pace, though, of home sales of existing houses since January this year. Back in January, the sales pace was only at 4 million. Now we're at 4.11 million. On top of that, we're only about 260,000 higher compared to the 13-year low that was set back in October last year. October last year, As you can see right there, 3.85 million. Now we're slightly above 4.1 million. So we're not too far off a 13-year low regarding existing home sales in the United States. And like I mentioned, we're on track to have fewer home sales this year compared to last year, which is absolutely wild given the fact that in 2023 as a whole, that was a 28-year low. All right, let's also take a look at the month-to-month changes here because ever since March, sales have been decreasing compared to the previous month, which is unusual. So this marks a third consecutive monthly decrease in sales, which is quite the difference compared to the gains in January and February this year. So back in January, a 3.1% increase, and then in February, a giant increase of 9.5%. Now we're down by 0.7%. In my personal opinion, sales are likely decreasing due to 7% mortgage rates and record high home prices. We have housing affordability constraints, which of course is limiting the amount of home sales we're seeing right now. And of course, we have relatively high levels of rates, given the fact we have record high home prices as well. So kind of this double whammy that home buyers are facing right now. Also, inventory has been climbing, yet sales decrease. So in other words, supply is increasing, yet demand is falling. And that is all contributing to the rise of inventory levels. Okay, let's talk about the year-over-year changes as well. That decreased by 2.8% compared to May of 2023. So it's still down year over year, but not nearly as bad compared to the past year though. So for example, sales fell by double digits year over year every single month from June of 2022 through October of 2023. Now we're only down by 2.8%. So let's take a look at that. June of 2022, which is right here, sales decreased by 14.1% compared to June of 2021. And sales decreased by double digits from then until October of 2023. Also, this marks the 34th consecutive month in which sales were flat or down year over year. So we're approaching basically 3 years of decreases of home sales on a year-over-year basis. The last time home sales increased year over year was way back in July of 2021. Now, something added below here is how this compares to pre-COVID levels. So May this year compared to May of 2019, sales decreased by 25%. Also, we saw a decrease of 31% compared to May of 2021. Back in 2021, we basically had a 15-year high in sales overall for the year. So we're down compared to pre-COVID levels. Of course, we're way down compared to the peak back in 2021. All right, let's change gears slightly here and talk about inventory levels because this is one of the things we should very, very closely follow because this is an early indication of what lies ahead. And let me explain. So in May, there was 1.28 million houses for sale. This is according to NAR. I pulled these numbers here from the website years ago and I just add to it each and every month. This number at 1.28 million includes pending home sales and existing houses for sale. That's why this number right here at 1.3 million is much higher compared to other sources such as Realtor.com and AltosResearch.com. In any case, that's how they measure inventory, the unsold inventory, which includes some pending home sales. So in any case, at 1.28 million, this is the highest amount since August of 2022. However, something you guys should be aware of though is that these numbers right here are not seasonally adjusted and inventory tends to peak in the late summer months. So therefore, when looking at previous May's numbers at 1.28 million existing houses for sale, this is the highest level since May of 2020. So in other words, a 4-year high for the same month. In regards to the month supply, we're sitting at a 3.7 month supply. To start the year, we were only at a 3-month supply. So this is the highest level since June of 2020, which is pretty astonishing. But it's still lower than the average from 2017 through 2019. Based on my analysis of their data, the average from that time period, 17 through 2019, was a 3.9 month supply. So we're still below the historical average compared to pre-COVID levels at 3.7 months right now. So this kind of helps explain why we have record high home prices, because inventory levels, I should say the month supply, is still well below pre-pandemic levels. However, something you guys should be aware of though, and I've been talking about this on the channel for quite some time, is the rate of increase. So we're not just talking about the month-to-month change, the change compared to 1 year ago. That's just kind of a sample of the trends we're seeing right now regarding inventory levels. So I want to focus on right now is the change so far this year. So based on my nerdy Excel formula there, technically this is a Google Doc, inventory increased by 27%. So this is January compared to May. Inventory increased by 27%. It is normal to see inventory rise compared to January, of course, but this increase is actually faster than the growth rate in 2017 through 2019 for the same time frame, January through May, each of those years. Yet it's slower though compared to 2022. My take regarding this is that we likely won't see a similar sharp correction in home prices like we saw in 2022. But given the fact that inventory has been rising fairly substantially though, I expect that home price growth will slow down. We're not going to see home prices reach all-time record highs indefinitely this year, given the fact that inventory has been rising by 27% compared to January, and also we're up compared to 12 months ago as well. However though, let's see what happens in the months to come, because the data coming in is ever changing, so a lot could change as well. So in regards to this year-to-date change, up by 27% though, this is a big increase compared to the 10% gain we saw from January through May last year. But at 27%, this is actually much lower than the 35% gain we saw in the same time frame in 2022. That was because inventory really increased big time starting in May and increased through July. So they saw a 35% gain at the same time frame in 2022. This year, we're up by 27%. However, though, looking at the gains in 2017, same time frame, up by 17%. We saw an increase of 23% in 2018, and 19, we saw a gain of 20%. So inventory has been increasing faster compared to pre-COVID levels, but not as fast compared to 2022. When of course, back then we had home prices decrease in the second half that year. So big picture, inventory is growing at a faster pace compared to years past, except 2022. This should limit home price growth unless, keyword there unless mortgage rates decrease greatly and or home prices also decrease greatly as well. Going back to NAR's report regarding home prices, let's talk about that. So the median existing home sold price for all housing types in May, we're not just talking about single family houses, this includes co-ops, condos, and townhouses, that increased to $419,300 this May, the highest price ever recorded, all-time record highs, an increase of 5.8% year over year. All four US regions also posted gains. And that's this right here, $419,300, up by 9.2% in Northeast, a gain of 6.4% in the Midwest, a 3.6% increase in the South. In the West, we saw a gain of 5.5%. Overall, though, we're up by 5.8%. Also, according to Lawrence Yun, who is NAR's chief economist, he said the following: home prices reaching new highs are creating a wider divide between those owning properties and those who wish to be first-time home buyers. The mortgage payment for a typical home today is more than double that of houses purchased before 2020. We saw rates more than double compared to 2020, and home prices increasing by about 40% as well. And speaking of home prices, let's take a look at my nerdy analysis of their data. And these two columns is what I pulled from the website. Everything else is my own analysis. So right now, the US median sold price is at $419,000. This means that out of all the houses that closed for the month of May this year, half sold for more than that and half sold for less than that. That's what the median number means. This is a new all-time record high. On top of that, this is about $9,000 higher compared to the previous high, which was set back in June of 2023 at $410,100. Also, we saw an increase of 3.1% in prices compared to April. This marks the fourth consecutive monthly gain, which is seasonal because home prices tend to increase in the spring home buying season. This 3.1% increase this May is slightly lower than historical averages going back to 2010 though. So based on my nerdy Excel formula there, the gain from April through May each and every year going back to 2010 is an increase of 3.4%, whereas this year we saw a gain of 3.1%. Now, when looking at the gains compared to 1 year ago, it increased by 5.8%. That marks the biggest year-over-year increase since October of 2022. This also marks the 11th straight month of year-over-year gains. So for comparison's sake, at this time last year, home prices were down year-over-year for only the third time since 2012. So quite the turnaround compared to last year. Also, this 5.8% gain this May compared to May of 2023 is slightly lower than the long-run average as well. The long-run average is a gain of 6.3%. Now we're up by 5.8%. One thing you guys should be aware of regarding home price changes though, regarding the median sold price, is this right here. We're seeing more home sales at the upper end of the market and lower sales at the lower range. So in my personal opinion, this is impacting overall the home price trends we're seeing right now, but is not the only reason why we're seeing record high home prices. So for the existing houses that sold this May in the range of $750,000 to $1 million, we saw a gain of 12.9% compared to May of 2023. Houses that sold for over $1 million surged by 22.6%. In contrast though, closed home sales in the range of $250,000 to $500,000, we saw a small gain of only 1% and also decreases for less than $250,000. Another way to look at this is this right here. Houses over $1 million that closed this May compared to last May increased by 22.6%. And also we saw a gain of 12.9% in the range of $750,000 to $1 million. And of course, lower gains at these other price segments. So just taking a step back, this is one of the reasons why we're seeing overall the US median sold price increasing to all-time record highs, because we're seeing more sales at the upper range of the market and less sales at the lower range. But again, not the only reason, because other reports such as the Case-Shiller CoreLogic S&P, what's it called? The S&P Case-Shiller CoreLogic Index, which measures home sales or home prices based on the repeat sales method. In other words, they look at the house that sold, look at the previous sale for that exact same house. We have all-time record highs in prices as well for that as well. In any case, please leave me a comment below your thoughts regarding that. Let's go back to my doc here. Let's talk about the increase in sales compared to the past several years. So the US median sold price increased by 3% compared to 2 years ago, rose by 18% from May of 2021, and again, a giant increase of 48% compared to May of 2020. And over the past 5 years, we saw a giant increase of 51% since 2019. And just for fun, add this, the change from May 2008 through May of 2009, obviously during the Great Recession, home prices tanked by 16%, whereas this year, it's up by 5.8%. All right, going back to NAR's report, let's talk about first-time home buyers, because they purchased, based on their survey, 31% of all home sales in May. That's down from 33% compared to the previous month and up from the 28% we saw in May of 2023. Also, all cash sales, that represented about 20% of all transactions. So approximately 1/3 of all sales in May were coming from a cash buyer. That's unchanged compared to April and up from 25% from 1 year ago. Also, individual investors or second home buyers, who make up a lot of cash buyers, of course, purchased 16% of all houses in May, identical to compared to April and up from the 15% we saw 12 months ago. Distressed home sales is virtually non-existent as well. These are foreclosures and short sales. We're right around 2% of sales in May. That figure has been pegged at around 1 to 2% for about 2 years plus. So not a lot of movement regarding foreclosures right now. And with that said, please comment below your biggest takeaways from today's video. My biggest takeaway is that we have record high home prices, despite the fact that inventory has increased by double digits compared to 1 year ago. So it makes it very challenging to predict what's going to happen. And that's one of the reasons why I don't speculate on this channel. I would never have guessed that we'd have all-time record highs in prices, given the fact we have 7% mortgage rates, which is more than double compared to the past several years. The housing market is ever changing. The data coming in is ever changing as well. But my biggest takeaway is the increase in prices compared to 12 months ago, and also record high prices. But again, we have rates at around 7%. So rates remain very much elevated, historically speaking. And also when you couple that with high home prices, that makes housing affordability at extremely low levels, which of course is limiting home sales this year, even more so than last year. So in my opinion, we're seeing a crash in sales over the past 2 years. But in contrast, we're seeing prices being supported by the month supply at still relatively low levels and also lower compared to pre-COVID as well. Anyways, that's my biggest takeaway. What's your biggest takeaway? Also, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. I post frequent housing market updates so you guys can make a more informed decision to whether to buy or sell a house right now. And also you get original analysis regarding home price and changes, and also other trends as well in our market as well. Anyways, I'm just babbling on. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next video.